If you're looking at adding ZigBee devices to your smart home network, and let's face it, why wouldn't you? You'll find you've got an awful lot of options available in order to be able to make that a reality. In this video, I'm going to go through some of the options you've got, the pros and cons, what I'm now using, and how I migrated to that within Home Assistant. Hey everyone, and welcome to a new video on Bite of Geek. So ZigBee then, what is it? Well, basically it's a low power networking protocol. It is ideal for smart home setups, and if you've got a Home Assistant, then it's a really straightforward thing to deploy within that. So just some of the reasons why you might choose ZigBee. So obviously, as I say, it is low power, so it is quite efficient. The devices are quite efficient, so a lot of the devices that you find are battery powered, and they will run on those batteries for many years in some instances. It's a mesh networking protocol, so the more devices you add onto your network, and there are different ones, different types of those. You kind of like have end devices and you have routers. But basically, if you add light bulbs and plugs and door sensors and things like that, ultimately they will all join together to make a stronger network for your smart home. And another real benefit of ZigBee is the compatibility. There are a huge number of products available now on the marketplace. Yes, it's not a protocol you would go and use for things like your smart doorbell, but there are things, door sensors, buttons, light bulbs, pet feeders. There's a huge range of products available that use ZigBee as a communications protocol. So they're just some of the reasons why you might want to use ZigBee. There are obviously an awful lot more, just as there are other protocols that you could use, your Wi-Fi, your Z-Wave, even Thread, that's starting to make its way through into mainstream now. So what are you going to need in order to get ZigBee working on your smart home setup? Well, basically it is a dongle. A few years ago I set up a SONOFF Dongle Plus. There's a link up above to that video about showing you how to go and flash that. But at that time there were just a handful of dongles available on the marketplace. That is completely changed now. There's numerous options available to you, and I'm going to go through some of those items with you today. So thanks to SMLIGHT for sending out a box full of goodies for me to be able to play around with and review on the channel. Like all these things, I haven't paid any money for this review, so you guys get my honest opinion, and they haven't even seen the video before you guys, so they've not been able to input into any of the content of the video. So SMLIGHT have sent me a couple of PoE LAN adapters, so they're Ethernet based ZigBee dongles, a couple of USB ones, and an LED controller, which we'll look at a little bit later. And then in this pack here, which I'm not going to be able to do anything with unfortunately, is just a bare board which is used for going into your air conditioning unit if you've got one. So just looking at this one here, so this is the ZigBee 07P7. So this USB adapter, this uses this basically is probably the equivalent to my SONOFF dongle. We'll work with ZHA and ZigBee to MQTT. It's got the CC2652P7 chipset, so most similar to what is in my SONOFF dongle, and inside the pack it's pretty minimalist really. You've got your dongle and an antenna, and there's a little sticker on the dongle so that you know which one it is if you've got multiple ones of these. But basically you just take the dongle out, and nice clear case. I believe on the website you can get kind of like ones which have got a black case, if you want something like that, and you just screw on the antenna and you're good to go. So the USB port's actually tilted up a little bit, which at first I kind of thought, that's interesting. My SONOFF dongle is exactly the same in that regard as well. So if anybody knows why that is like that, then please let me know. As I say, I thought it was some kind of defect in its manufacturing, but to get two from two completely different manufacturers that have got the same angle on the USB port is very odd. But yeah, not much more to say about this. Obviously, I'll be trying one of these USB adapters with Home Assistant just to see how well that works. So next up, I've got the other one, which is the SMLIGHT 07, which again, it's got all the same kind of logos on it, but this is using the EFR32 MG21 chipset on it. So again, this is just going to work with Home Assistant. This is probably equivalent to the other, I think it's the Dongle E, the SONOFF Dongle E. This is the equivalent to that. So this is a newer chipset, supposed to be slightly more powerful. Now, obviously, one of the things with regards to these, and you could go with either of these, but I think it's fair to say this one is probably still classed as experimental within ZigBee to MQTT. So I think the thing is if you want to use ZigBee to MQTT and the kind of like the widest compatibility of devices, I would go with the SMLIGHT 07P7. And if you want to use Home Assistant's built-in ZigBee, then I would go with this one. ZigBee to MQTT will catch up eventually, and it will be fully supported, but if you want to use it right now, I would probably go that route. Now, if I just start taking a look at the LAN adapter version, so this is the SMLIGHT 06, and just like the USB, it's got all the logos on the front and everything. So this is the equivalent to the dongle, the USB dongle we've just looked at, the SMLIGHT 07. So this is using the EFR32 MG21, except it is a PoE LAN adapter. So a lot bigger device, but we'll have a look and see just what you get in the pack with this one. So as you can see, quite a device, really, completely different to the USB adapter. This is, if you really want to kind of get your signal away from where your Home Assistant is running, so that you can get better coverage around your house, then this is probably the type of thing to think about using. So you can put this pretty much anywhere, run a network cable to it, and get the real coverage that you need. There's another little special thing about this which we'll talk about later on, but obviously you've got your antenna as well, and the antenna's twice the size, so these things are just absolutely brilliant for coverage, and it just screws in there. So but quite the device once it's fully extended, I would say. So you've got your Ethernet port on the end there, and as per usual, you've got your little lights on that. There are some other LEDs further along on this. You've got a USB-C, so if you don't have a PoE switch, you can't supply power to it that way, then you can plug in the USB cable and power it that way. That's what I'm doing at the moment, and it works absolutely fine. You get this little bag of bits here, so there is like this little tiny USB adapter. That's if you've you need to use a different cable connection, but just to give you an idea of size, 15 centimeters. So again, if this is too big, go for the USB adapter. You know, it's probably fair to say they work perfectly well. These are different use cases for different people. And you've also got on the back of the adapter, you've got mounting holes, so you can actually, you know, go and fix this onto something. So fairly straightforward there. So next up, we've got the SLZB06. Again, another Ethernet, ZigBee Ethernet adapter, PoE, and you know, this has got the CC2652P. So yeah, you know, the USB adapter's got the P7, this one's just got the P. Fundamentally the same thing, I guess, you know, from that point of view. This one, again, like the USB adapters, this one probably, you know, will work better with ZigBee to MQTT, whereas the previous you know, 06M will work better with you know, ZHA. So but I'll open this up and you can see what's inside, but no surprises. You know, this is going to look pretty much identical to the last you know, LAN adapter. So again, you know, you've got this large adapter, and if I just put the other one alongside it, they are identical. They are absolutely identical. The difference is on the inside. You know, same length. You know, there's nothing between them. If you had both of these on your network, you wouldn't know which one was which. The only way you can actually tell which is the different one is just by the labeling that's on the bottom of them. But you know, effectively everything else about it, the whole chassis, the whole case is just identical between the two of them. So it really comes down to your specific preferences, I guess, in terms of which one you want to use, you know, and maybe how you're going to set up ZigBee on your Home Assistant installation. And you know, just on the LED controller, so I'm not going to really do much about this on the video. I'll probably do another video that features this. I have some ideas on how to use this, but what I will say, you know, I do have some LED controllers elsewhere in my house, and this is actually quite tiny. I'm quite impressed with it, because you know, this will either take mains power or USB power. You know, you get a little fancy set of screwdrivers and everything, just like stuff that you get out of Christmas crackers. But yeah, they've sent me a strip of LEDs as well. So yeah, look out for something that's going to feature this in a future video. So this is just my test Home Assistant installation, and I've got the SLZB07 USB dongle plugged into this this device, and yeah, I'm just going to show you how straightforward and easy it is to get it set up in Home Assistant. So it's already found it on the dashboard when I've gone into the discovered integrations, and you know, just click on the buttons to say keep all the current radio settings. Really quite straightforward. You know, and then where's it located? So you know, I just need to set up an office room for this, and you know, I'll just leave all the other area details as is, and click on add and then finish, and there it is. That is now up and running for me to well, you know, I can have a look at the entities for it. There's a lot of entities here for it. You don't need to really do anything about these in order to be able to get using this, but you know, if you want to have a look at that information, it's all there. And then, you know, just clicking on the device itself, you know, there is the add devices to the to this device. So I just click on that and it starts searching for ZigBee devices to add to it. So that is how you set up one of the USB dongles in Home Assistant. Really, really straightforward. You know, if you want to use ZigBee to MQTT, then you know, go and follow some of the instructions out of the video that I linked earlier. But I'm wanting to move away from my USB dongle, my SONOFF dongle, to one which is you know, one of the LAN adapter ones. When you go on the SMLIGHT website, well, you know, there's a lot of detail here for you. You know, lots of talk around ZigBee, Matter, Thread, Bluetooth, you know, all the different communications protocols that are going on nowadays in smart homes. You know, and there is an awful lot of products within their range. I think, you know, when you go looking for a dongle to be able to use for ZigBee devices, this is almost kind of like overwhelming. You know, I don't think I've seen a manufacturer with so many choices available. You know, it's almost like they've got too many devices. But obviously, you know, they're all using different chipsets, they're all using different forms for connectivity. So, you know, SMLIGHT are catering really for everyone's possible need, and they're giving you as much information you know, in order to make that decision. So you know, lots of comparisons around what is the difference between the devices. You know, they have you know, this fantastic page here, which you know, no punches being held here. You know, they clearly point out, you know, that some of these chipsets are really just kind of like marketing gimmicks. You know, you're unlikely to actually benefit from what is actually being put on the chip. You know, but they rank them accordingly, you know, according to their view of things. Obviously, you know, one of those there is the 2652P7, you know, which we just had a brief look at. You know, that is number 2. You know, the two standout chips in all of this are the you know, the EFR32MG21 and the CC2652P. You know, those are the kind of like the chips where the rest of the market is moving to, or has moved to, I should say. So, you know, all these other ones are kind of like becoming available. You know, if you go and use one of those, your network may not be quite as reliable and robust. You know, so maybe if you want to kind of like tinker around with things, maybe choose one of those, but, you know, have something else as your main you know, your main coordinator for your network that is actually based upon one of the tried and trusted chipsets. But, you know, they're giving you that information, you know, for you to be able to make that informed decision. They're not just trying to sell you a particular dongle. But, you know, for me, I'm going to go with the chipset, which is the CC2652P. That is the one. It's the most stable one available for ZigBee to MQTT. That is what I'm using. That's what I want to you know, migrate across from my USB SONOFF dongle to. So, you know, I'll be going a PoE LAN adapter route, and that's the chipset that I'm going to use. But first of all, I just want to have a look at the SLZB06M PoE adapter. So, you know, this one is obviously based on the AFR chipset, and, you know, like I did with the USB dongle, I'll just show you, you know, just kind of like some of the things that are available with this. Now, because it's a LAN adapter, you do actually get a nice web interface with this. Lots of stuff to play around with, very, very configurable, and quite surprising to see this having come from, you know, a USB dongle. So, you know, I've got a nice dashboard. It's got all my details around the LAN adapter here. You know, I can you know, choose which mode the adapter is going to work in, whether it's a coordinator, a router. You know, I can flash it all here. So, you know, if you've ever watched any of those videos like one of mine about flashing and having to do things, you know, like using Python and stuff like that, that's all gone with this. You know, this is a nice, easy user interface to be able to go and do this kind of stuff. You know, you can get latest versions of the firmware. These are the ones which are all available from the website. You know, how's it going to be connected? Ethernet, Wi-Fi, USB. You know, you just change the options here. There's a DHCP. You know, is it going to get you know, a random IP address? I would recommend you set it as a static IP address so that your coordinator is always available. And, you know, what is really nice is that it even gives you you know, the settings to just copy and paste into your ZigBee to MQTT configuration, or just into, you know, ZHA if you actually want to use that instead. So not going to talk a huge amount about the VPN option, but you know, if you're going to want to have this set up in a remote location, then this is just absolutely ideal for what you need there. And then you've got your settings. You can set your time zone, you know, and you've got a log there as well. And yeah, you know, it's just great to have that kind of functionality on something which, you know, as I say, coming from a USB dongle, you know, you don't really get to see that kind of stuff available. But it's the SLZB06 which I'm wanting to use. So, you know, as I say, I'm moving away from the SONOFF dongle, and you know, so same kind of thing. Got this connected via the Ethernet cable and a USB power to it. I'm going to flash this to the latest version of the ZigBee firmware and also the core firmware as well. So in order to migrate from the USB dongle to the Ethernet adapter, basically first of all do a backup within Home Assistant, just in case it all goes wrong and you can quickly go back to things. But basically there is instructions on the ZigBee to MQTT website. It is a straightforward process. What you're going to need is to change the IEEE address of the SMLIGHT adapter to that of what was assigned to your USB dongle that you were using, so that it's in effect, you know, still sees it as the same adapter as it were. Once you've done that, you then, you know, as before, you take the text that's been provided on the web page and you go into ZigBee to MQTT and you put that into the relevant box on the screen. Just make sure you blank out or delete any reference to the USB adapter that you had previously, and then you can just click on the start button. And if you go into ZigBee to MQTT, you should see that all your devices are there. Now, what I would say is if there's any devices that are on your network which are powered devices, what I would do is go and switch those off. This is in the instructions list. You go and switch them off for a period of about 15 minutes and then turn them back on. So, you know, all your other devices that are battery powered ones will have gone to the coordinator, and then as you put all your powered devices back on, your network should then kind of like reconfigure itself and things will start to migrate to those powered ones. You know, and yeah, you know, I'm just doing a network map here so that you can see what this ultimately ends up like. So there you go, there is the ZigBee network map. All my devices are connected up apart from the ones which I already know about. Link quality looks very good, certainly better than what I had previously. So yeah, you know, a pretty straightforward process and fairly pain-free in order to go and migrate from that USB dongle to an Ethernet one on Home Assistant. So what are my thoughts about these adapters then? Well, you know, if you're, you know, you just want something out of the box, you just want to plug it in and pretty much away you go. You know, the USB adapters are going to be fine for you. They're pretty much no different from other ones available on the market. Yes, you know, you've got the kind of like the thread and the matter support, you know, experimental in quotes, you know, but they are reasonably priced, you know, around about the $15 mark, something like that, $15 to $20, depending upon which version you get. Obviously, you have a range of those devices there. But you know, just go with the kind of like the EFR or the CC versions. You know, the ones which SMLIGHT recommend as their #1 and #2 on the website. You know, there's a reason why they've ranked them as those, and you'll have a very, very stable ZigBee network. If you want to go something a little bit more advanced, you know, and you want to maybe, you know, you want to be able to use your USB ports for something else, then go for one of the PoE LAN adapters. They're not that expensive. They're around about the $30 mark, so not a huge amount. and obviously you get an awful lot more to them. You know, you've got the really simple way of flashing it. I think that, you know, that's got to be worth that price alone, you know, in terms of the cost of your time. But you know, you've got again, you've got the thread and the matter support there if you need it. You know, you've got the flexibility, you've got the ability to go and use these in external buildings, which just, you know, I know some people ask about that. You know, I've got a, you know, a holiday let or something like that, you know, and I want to be able to control that from my normal home. Well, this is exactly what you need to be able to do that. And you know, so simple to be able to go and you know, set it up and configure it for use to be able to do that. So, you know, the options are there. There's a lot of these devices on the website. It looks overwhelming, but effectively it comes down to 2 chipset versions and whether you want USB or Ethernet. So there you go. Those are just some of the SMLIGHT ZigBee adapters, and I'm sure you'll agree, a pretty straightforward process to go and migrate you know, from USB to Ethernet within ZigBee to MQTT. You know, I'd love to know your thoughts down below in the comments. You know, if you've got one of these, you know, how are you finding it? What are you using it for? Are you using the remote kind of like access and all that kind of stuff? You know, drop those down below in the comments. If you've enjoyed this video, then don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel for more content like this. It really does help with YouTube's algorithms and kind of like getting it in front of other people. But as always, thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye for now.